Hey guys, today we're going to be looking at some of the best champions for solo queue that aren't banned or aren't picked a lot. Now this is actually probably one of the most useful lists that I do on this channel because one of the quickest ways to climb is to play the same champion game after game and things become muscle memory and habit, and these champions, because they aren't picked or banned a lot, actually let you do that. So let's just kick this straight off, and actually you guys are so lucky you're getting a double whammy for these first two picks where you can actually play them both top and jungle, but we're going to start with Mundo in the top lane. The whole point of Mundo is you get too tanky for these carry top laners that are being played right now to actually kill you, and you really can't shut him down. They changed it recently so that you can use your Q to farm and you get the full health cost back, or you can just poke and poke and poke and slowly make the enemy laner cry and leave his lane. The weird thing with Mundo that's not really like anything else is he's kind of like a hyper carry tank. Like, he's weak-ish early and then he gets stronger and stronger as the game goes on. The changes in 520 and other patches as well actually helped him a lot. Like, he's slowly been getting buffed and buffed to the point where he is now. The problem before was he kind of used to be this tank that you could just ignore. Like, you didn't have to focus him and you could kind of just run past him, but now with his new E he actually does a lot of damage. The other really good thing, and if you've been watching these for a while, you know that I love this whole idea of a no pressure playstyle and why it's so good for solo queue. Like, if you don't win your lane, it doesn't matter because you're going to be tanky, but if you do win your lane, then you'll shut down the enemy top laner and you'll be so hard to kill, so it's really just like a win-win. He's great at dominating with a lead, and it's something that a lot of tanks actually can't do, but with Mundo you poke with your Q and then you can dive with your ultimate when they are low enough. It sounds silly, but it's actually really hard to recover against a Mundo. Now, even though you might not run around and kill everyone with damage, you can carry by absorbing so much damage and giving your team time to kill their enemy frontline. Actually, you know what, the dumb thing is you can probably just kill everyone anyway. Like, what a time to be an AD carry main where Mundo is going to kill you before you can kill him. So Wukong is actually my top lane pick for most of these lists, but we're going to mix it up a little bit, spice it up, and we're going to stick him in the jungle this time. That sounded so weird, holy crap. So Wukong, the main reason you pick Wukong is his ultimate. It is deadly when you're ahead, but it's also enough to make a comeback if you pick a good fight. His early clear is kind of crappy, but after that his clear is good, his ganks are okay, and he really just has to survive early. The reason I actually chose him over any other jungler, because there are a lot of good junglers right now, is that he's very easy to have an impact with, and that's kind of the reliability that you want for climbing solo queue quickly. I'm not really talking about mechanically, but he isn't too difficult mechanically, honestly, but it's more that your game plan is just very simple. Like, every time your ultimate is up, you go to a lane and use it. It's really just that simple. The knockup plus your damage is going to be more than enough to get at least summoners, but most likely kills, and then from there you get towers or dragons and snowball the game. That is the other thing as well. His damage is just insane. Like, with your passive giving you armor and magic resist, it means you can actually afford to build 2 damage items first and then go tanky, so you can literally just take a dump on everyone. I guess the other reason as well that he gets away with building damage first isn't just his passive, but because you can use his clone or his W to avoid damage and survive that little bit longer. Last thing is something I've always said with a jungler, or actually kind of a top laner as well, I guess, is if you engage fights, you are normally always more likely to win them, and Wukong is great for engaging, so you wait for that perfect time and you just go nuts. Moving on to mid, and this one was actually really hard because there are so many good mid laners right now, and I kind of wanted to pick Vel'Koz, but I already did an underrated video on him, which you can check down in the description if you want to see that. So we're going to go with Twisted Fate, and he is just the definition of a solo queue champion. Like, he has a no effort roam, he can carry bad teammates by winning their lane for them. This is really why he's good in bronze all the way up to challenger, because it doesn't matter how well your teammates are playing really, you can just boost their efforts up and you can help them get ahead. He has really good wave clear, he has good poke as well, but he has kind of an average lane phase, and this is probably the thing that most people are going to struggle to get their head around. It's very similar to Mundo actually. Like, you aren't designed to win your lane, and that's what you have to remember. I mean, like, sure, you can actually win, but that's not why you pick Twisted Fate, and one of the biggest problems is that he finds it hard to deal with some of these assassins. Just remember, you have one job: get 6 and use that ultimate to roam, so don't worry and don't get down if you struggle with your matchup. Even though that is the reason that you pick Twisted Fate, he actually has a really good late game and he can one-shot people. Like, his damage is definitely underrated. There are actually 2 other things I think that are really underrated. One is his low cooldown stun in a team fight. It's actually really useful, especially for kind of self-peel or to peel for your AD carry. The other thing is that when you kind of get to that one-shot stage, or where you actually have a lot of damage, you can catch people mid to late game where they just farm side lanes. Like, people always do it, and you can just use your ult, go to that side lane, kill the person, and you've turned the game into a 4v5. Okay, so moving on to AD carries, and I know AD carry isn't in the best place right now, I guess, but there are things that you can do to kind of cover up some of these weaknesses that people think the AD carry role has, and one of them is just Draven as a champion. Draven snowballs harder than anyone else, and he has the potential to win any lane, which is really good. Like, if you play it correctly, then you can actually win your lane. So I actually hate using the phrase "if you play it correctly," because I'm not actually telling you how to play it correctly, alright, or how to actually win that lane. With Draven, it actually focuses a lot around his damage and knowing his damage and the right time when you can actually go aggressive and kill someone. A lot of Draven's damage comes from his auto attacks and his ultimate in lane, so if you can work out when you can actually kill someone, like, that is how you play it correctly, and that is how you get ahead. He scales with crit chance better than most actually, and you can crit people for over 1,000 damage late game, which makes his late game insane. It isn't just crit either, like, he scales with lifesteal insanely well too. Like, the bonus damage with his axes or his Q applies a lifesteal, so you end up healing for a ton. The thing that I love about this is it means that you can rush a Bloodthirster and become really strong in lane while doing a ton of damage and being really hard to kill. This isn't really the best idea against someone who is super tanky, but if you're against like a medium or low health team, then it's actually really good. One of the things about Draven as well is it kind of demoralizes the enemy team when you get kills just because you're passive and they know you are snowballing ahead. And even though it's not like directly about Draven, I guess it's a mindset thing that is really cool. I'm gonna say this again, he is one of the answers for AD carries right now and the state they're in. Like, the game and the meta is shifting way more into mid-game fights where ADs just don't really have the items they need yet. With Draven, you actually do enough damage and you can have a big impact that early into the game. So moving on to support, and actually this is kind of a hard one to put into these videos because there are like 5 or 6 meta supports, I guess, and they're all played equally out, so it only leaves a few on the outside. Nami is really good because she has a perfect mix of offense and defense. I'm going to show you what I mean, okay? So defensively, she has her W or her heal to help your AD carry survive the lane phase, her bubble, her Q to stop the enemy dealing damage if they... Your ultimate can knock people up and slow the enemy when they're chasing, and your E can speed up your AD carry, or you can use it to slow the enemy. So you can see, like, all of your abilities, right, can be used defensively, but now let's flip it over to the offense side. So your heal, you can use it to harass and poke people, your bubble can lock down the enemy and let you guys follow up, your ultimate can stop the enemy running away, and your E can be used on your AD carry so he does more damage and slows them as well. It's actually really rare for a champion to have such a versatile kit where everything can be used so well both ways. The biggest thing with Nami to actually make you have a huge impact is using your W or your heal properly and also making it bounce as well. Using it for harass early is actually really effective and you can basically bully the enemy AD carry all by yourself. The other side of it, so the actual heal part, is really good for helping your AD carry survive if he's taking bad trades in a bad matchup, or maybe he's just not a very good player. The biggest problem with Nami and why she's not played as much right now is that you are kind of low health yourself, and if you get caught out of position, you are going to most likely die. So that's the biggest thing you have to focus on, just not getting caught and not dying. Anyway, that wraps up this video, and if you liked it, make sure you like and subscribe. I'm also actually looking for some video ideas. Like, I have this big document where I keep my video ideas, and it's getting kind of empty, so I'm going to sit down over the next couple of days and refill it back up with some ideas I have, and I'd love to know what you guys want to see, and if you have any ideas for cool videos. So make sure you put them down in the comments, and I'll go through them all and make sure I actually read them all. That is all for this time, so I'll catch you in my next video.